Um, no, I have 11:30.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be somewhere. 12 o'clock, I'm definitely supposed to be somewhere, but we should be good.
Oh yeah, we'll be fine. It won't be nearly that long. I just wanted to make sure that, probably 20 minutes or so, if that.
Yeah, we got time.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you again for taking the time to sit down. It was great to see you, and I do want to ask you first, since I've known you for so long. My girlfriend was over, and she saw the picture of us, I think, back from training camp. That's almost a decade ago now. So when you saw me this past summer, what was it like? You almost like had a sh look of shock on your face. What was it like to see me?
Yeah, man. Look, I've been an adult for a long time, but you just become an adult not too long ago. And when I first met you, you were a young boy, So it's just uh, it's just interesting to watch time pass and see people develop and just see where everybody's path is leading them to. When 10 years ago, I was playing professional football with the New York Giants, and now I'm trying to launch a denim line for an athletic fit with this fabric that is coming out of Japan. So um, things are interesting how they progress.
Definitely. And I know one of the things that's interesting is, you've been out of the NFL now for a few years, but I was curious what are some things that people like fans that watch football, for example, don't know about that life? If you're not like a Tom Brady or a Manning who goes right into like broadcasting, right? Like what does that look like for somebody who was in the NFL for 5 years? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an everyday job. People just see it is crazy because the season is so short compared to what the preparation is. So we've got a 17 game season now. It was 16 when I was playing, but um it's really it's 8 9 months of football. It's not always on the field tackling and throwing and catching and running, but it is a damn near a year long experience. And people don't understand that. They just think about fantasy points and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and then since the NFL, you've been going into different business ventures and stuff. What does that journey look like for you personally?
So I started this apparel line while I was playing football actually. And we come to the off season after my rookie year, and uh I had a good rookie season, really good, but now it was time to just sit back for a little bit and see what else was out there. I was in New York. New York, it's not like Cleveland. You're exposed to everything and anything that you want to be exposed to. There's always somebody to meet and something to do. And I was trying to figure out exactly what I was supposed to do because, I used to be a big gamer. And now I'm like, all right, I can't sit here and play PlayStation all day. I got cash in my pocket. I'm in, right next to New York City. There's something that I'm supposed to be doing positively and constructively with my time. So I had a marketing agent that introduced me to one of his friends. And his friend's name was Eamon, and Eamon was starting a shoe company. And I didn't know anything about shoes. I didn't know anything about apparel at the time, clothing, let alone high end clothing. But I was interested, and I did build a fragrance lab in my townhouse at the time because I was just trying to figure out what to do with my time. I was interested in chemistry and mixing and building and tinkering. And so when, you know, I had the opportunity to go sit down with Eamon, I took it. And Eamon said to me, he's like, hey man, you're a running back in the NFL. How would you like to create your own signature shoe? And that in and of itself made sense. I'm a running back to make my own shoe that would be cool.
Mm.
And so I said, yeah, it sounds cool, Eamon. How do we do it? And he said, well, I've got this factory out in Spain where they're cranking out Balenciaga arenas, and I'm making my own shoe over there. It's called One Ground. And I could extend my creative faculties to you, and you can make something. I have a designer that used to work for Nike. You sit down and talk with him, and you guys ideate, and you create something. And yeah, that's how we would do it.
Hmm.
So I went for it, you know. I sat down with this designer and I created the Running Man shoe. And so that was my first foray into the fashion world. And it started leading me places that I didn't expect. You know, I started following Eamon around. He took me to a couple trade shows. I started meeting some small brands. Um, I met some big brands. I met I forget his name at this current moment, but he owned Jean Shop NYC. So that was another selvage denim brand out in the city. And this same guy now, he is a part owner in a small mill in Louisiana, I believe, called Vidalia Mills, where they're making selvage denim. You know, they don't really make it here in the States anymore, but they do have a small production left over from cone mills in North Carolina. So um, it's a very small world. I started meeting some people that started opening my eyes to some things, and I met a brand developer, and this brand developer, you know, he saw my shoe and my ambition and he was impressed and he asked me why I made the shoe. And so I said, because it was cool. And he's like, yeah, it's cool, but how are you going to sell it? I said, I didn't get that far yet. I'm just making cool. And so we ended up having this 3 hour conversation where he blew my mind because all the information that he was giving me for free, I had paid for it over the course of, you know, 6, 8 months making the Running Man shoe. And so that night I could not sleep. And I I just was thinking, I'm like, all right, instead of making something cool, what would be marketable? What does the market need? And I thought about myself and I said, you know, I can't wear jeans because nobody is making an athletic fit. You know, there's nothing for somebody with a normal size waist but above average dimensions below the waist. And when I brought this to my developer, I call him Roy. When I brought this to my developer, he's like, you know, that is a niche that you could really fit into and grow out of, especially you being a professional athlete. So, you know, we did a little market research with Ernest and Young, and you know, we gave them the parameters, and they told us they're like, honestly, this thing, you know, 6% of the population is athletically built, and you know, that equates to something like 500 million people around the world. So you definitely have a market for the product. And, you know, that was the impetus that I took to say, all right, this is worth going ahead and throwing some real money at. So I took my signing bonus. It was about 120,000. Well, I ended up using the whole thing, but initially I used about half of it to create my first denim line. And that was the start. You know, I didn't wasn't able to do a ton in the beginning because I was still playing ball. But in 2019, I went to I met Sharifa Murdoch, and she's co-owner to one of the major trade shows called Liberty Fair. And she saw my product, and honestly, it was, you know, my first time being in a trade show. She gave me a pass and she let me in for free that first time. And it was an amazing experience. I got to show in New York. I got to show my product in Vegas. And you know, you're sitting in this room with some of the biggest brands in the world. You know, PRPS was over there, Levi's was over there. Uh, there's so many names that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Denham, you know, there was a bunch of guys over there. And this particular trade show is more so for premium product in terms of apparel, but they also had some other things, you know, consumable items, candles and smell goods and things like that. And I made friends out there, you know. So That was really cool. As far as the trade show goes, I learned what the trade show actually is. It's when you present your product, you set it up in a nice way. Buyers come through and check it out, and they're trying to pick up new stuff for the next season offering of whatever stores that they represent. And so that was very cool, eye-opening experience at the time. This was 2019. Things were kind of just beginning to go the way that they're going now with retail in general. And so one of the things that Sharifa had told me was that, man, the volume of buyers in these shows is very low compared to what it was in the past. So we knew that something was going on. We didn't know it was going to be coronavirus, but that's what ended up happening. And so I did pick up one account, which was Dutil, and they're a denim boutique in Canada. They have 3 stores in Toronto, Vancouver, and Calgary. And so it was a consignment order, and it was about $15,000 worth of product that was due to hit shelves in March of 2020. And it was actually March 11th, I believe, when the NBA shut down
Yeah.
and the whole world shut down. And that killed my deal, and it killed any prospect of me thinking that it would be okay to try and go ahead and find distribution through retailers. So I decided to open up my own store, and I switched up my strategy completely from there. But I've been talking for a while. I'm sure you have more questions.
Oh no, you're all good. You're all good. And I know that it somehow led you all the way back to Lehigh Valley, where you were kind of like a high school football legend. So I was curious, I don't think I've ever asked you that, how you ended up back here.
Yeah, so honestly, Andrew, it's a really a deep and kind of crazy story. I'm writing a book about it. Honestly, had my whole path from football to back to the Lehigh Valley, and I'm on chapter 52, so I need to wrap it up pretty soon. But it's crazy, man. It's so um I ended up back in Lehigh Valley because of a combination of things. You could call it destiny, you could call it whatever you want. But I was living in Jersey. Um, let's see, back to 2019. Yeah, I had just finished a crazy divorce.
Mhm.
And so this divorce was not good, man. It was the spiteful sort.
Mhm.
And so people were uh, burning each other. And
Mhm.
so I was pretty crispy at the time. And I had to sell my townhouse in Secaucus.
Mhm.
And so I sold the townhouse, and this was the middle of the pandemic. I was actually in Houston. I
Mhm.
was playing football in the XFL, the newly revamped XFL, right? But this was the year before the Rock bought it, and uh, Vince McMahon owned it. And honestly, I wish Dwayne would have bought it the first time. It would have been a better experience, but it was still great football, and they have a great concept. But when coronavirus broke out, it shut the league down, and so I was out of a job again. And I also didn't have any prospect of my uh, denim selling at all in the store because the whole world was shut down. Everything was shut down. So it was time to go back home. It was time to sell my crib. And so I just ended up going back to Pennsylvania because my dad was out there. And so I called him up. I'm like, Dad, man, what's going on? Are you all right, man? I was like telling him my situation, like, yo, I'm gonna come out there for a little while. And he was like, yeah, you come out here, man, but don't give me that coronavirus. I don't want to get sick. And I was like, Dad, we just spent the week in the hotel getting over coronavirus. I had caught it, and my whole family had caught it. Actually, the way that I remember it, the week before our last game, we played the Seattle Sea Dragons. and there were rumors about how the center had caught coronavirus, and it was like a running joke at a time, like, oh yeah, everybody's gonna get the Rona, and then they brought it over here. Like they flew to Houston, and it was a packed stadium, and I'm sure everybody got coronavirus because I certainly had it. My wife had it, my son had it, and there were people the day that we were doing our I think it was like a Wednesday or something when everything shut down. We had to do our discharge physicals, this, that, and the third. And we're riding on the bus back to the facility. And there was one of my teammates, his name was Trip. And Trip was so sick on the bus, and everybody's just on the bus like, oh my gosh, he's got coronavirus. But we all already had it, you know? So it was like, um, yeah, I got over it. I came back to Jersey, and it just seemed like the right thing to do at the time. You know, I know that I had support out here. My dad was out here. Nobody knew what was going on for real, and it was just good to be back home around family. So I ended up coming back here.
Yeah. Well, and you did mention, I forgot you played in the XFL, and you said you kind of mentioned how Vince McMahon owned it. I guess at the time you were playing, and you said you wish the Rocket bought it earlier. Is there a reason why that was? Was it just the system of the whole league, or what was it?
What in the system? It's just that sometimes, people are people say things, but they don't mean what they say,
Mhm.
or they promise things, but they don't deliver. Um, Vince was one of those people. So,
Mm,
um, we were promised certain things, and those things were not we never saw it through that way. So it was kind of just like it was a situation where they promised us that the contract was going to look like that, and then it ended up looking like this. And we were already had signed the paperwork, and then they were trying to push us to do things that we like. I was in the NFL, man. I'm not coming out of college. They're trying to get me to sign these trading cards. I know how much the trading cards is worth. Why would you want me to sign 1,000 for free?
yeah.
You're not gonna give me a little bit of something? I'm not signing them. So there was some tension that was going on, and ownership plays a huge role in how an organization um, is run. Who owns it, how they look at things and how they behave and who they hire. People build companies and people destroy companies. So um, that was just something that where I thought, and you never know because TV is fantasy. So who's to say that Dwayne the Rock Johnson is gonna run the company better than Vince McMahon? But just from what I get from him personally, me seeing and observing the way that he upholds himself and the way he talks, I felt like I don't know. I'm not in the XFL now, but I bet he's doing a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to get into your genes again, I am curious. I know you've talked about salvage a lot, and you talked about it's not made in America, and I remember you mentioned Japan as well. Is there a reason? Is all that related? Like, is this what is salvage? I guess I'll start with that question.
Yeah, but that's like that's the second biggest question that people ask me. The first one is, well, how do I wash them? How do I take care of it? The second one is like, what is salvage?
Yeah.
And it's like, does it means that it's recycled? Is it salvaged? Are you saying it
Oh,
wrong?
I
I'm like,
didn't think of that. Yeah.
not. It's salvage. Salvage is shorthand for self edge, and it means that the fabric was made on a shuttle loom. So a shuttle loom is an old style loom that it was really the original loom that Levi Strauss was using to make his jeans. He actually patented selvage denim in 1873, and he was intending to make a durable workwear fabric, something that was for somebody that was like digging in a mine or putting together a railroad, something for hard work.
Mm.
And so that's what he made. The reason that the shuttle loom is able to create this durable fabric in part is because you're using one continuous cross yarn or weft yarn that is interweaving between these vertical work beams. And so it's one continuous yarn throughout the entire bolts of fabric. So it's one solid piece. You know, that's one reason why it is considered stronger, more durable denim fabric. It's the real denim fabric, the original. And when you look at a selvage fabric, I'm wearing a pair of jeans right now. Let me put it in the camera.
Yeah.
This is, if you cuff the jeans, you see the ends of the jeans. If you cuff them, then you can see the selvage ID is exposed. And
Gotcha.
that this is the end of the fabric right here.
Mm.
Self edge, you know, it's got this, you see that those white yarns there, those are,
Mhm.
that is the end of the fabric. It delineates the end of the fabric with that white yarn. And so the fabric is self-sealed. It doesn't require stitching after you loom the bolt for it to be finished. So it'll never unravel. So it's just built differently than your regular denim fabric. Originally, that's how all jeans were being made, but once it got popular, they ended up abandoning shuttle loom production. They adopted projectile loom production, and this projectile loom is this bigger loom that can spit out a fabric that's from this wall to that wall way over there. You know, as opposed to the shuttle loom, you have these small batch fabrics that are somewhere between 28 to 32 inches wide, so you can't make a ton of jeans from the bolt, and it makes this fabric very slow compared to the projectile loom. But it makes it differently because the projectile loom, instead of using the one continuous yarn, now you have individual unconnected strands. And so there's a bunch of factors that go into what make one better or different than the other, but the projectile loom spits out these huge rolls of fabric, and it's for mass production. You just chop chop chop, and you got a bunch of jeans, you know. But they don't hold together the same. And
Yeah.
so they say that you can make great fabric on a projectile loom, and I'm sure that's true. But generally speaking, the folks that are putting together a bolt of selvage denim fabric in Japan are artisans that really know how to use that machine, how to uh, adjust it to create differences and distinctions between this fabric and that fabric. So you end up with something that is a heavier weight. You end up with something that is got a different texture. The way that it's dyed is totally different. So it'll fade more beautifully or more differently than this other pair of jeans over here. And you know the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that like they're made for like athletic fit, right? Like, and you have a unique body, right? You're almost like I think of like every time I see Saquon Barkley, I think of your body type, where you might have a thinner waist, but those quads and the legs are huge, right? So have you seen any of your other teammates, when you were in the NFL and still developing these, or any like former football players in these jeans? Is that what they really are made for?
Yes, athletes come in all shapes and sizes, so there are some athletes that are very small. There are some athletes that are very big. So I wouldn't say that they're exclusively for a football player, but and even myself, my body is unique. It's there's other folks like me. I'm sure Saquon would have this same problem, but even though I'm bow-legged, my thighs are so big that they still are always rubbing together, and it don't matter if it's selvage or what. You rub something together long enough, it's gonna wear down. So it's not the fit is perfect, but it's never you're never going to be able to um you're never going to be able to get the exact
Mm.
measurements for the exact athlete, because all athletes we come in different sizes. That's why I carry waist size 28. I carry waist size 40. You're going to get a whole range of people from 28 to 40, you know But if you have a waist size in between 28 and 40, what I say is that the jeans are going to make you look more athletic, you
Mhm.
know? And that is because one, the nature of the fabric, the selvage denim, which is known to contour to the human body over time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to, when you put the jeans on, they're going to feel one way, they're going to look one way, but the jeans are going to find your shape. You know, they're going to adjust to your body over time so that the fit does become better as you wear them. And then just how the jeans are constructed, the dimensions that it's cut, the way that it's sewn together, it does fit an athletic body type. But really, if you have a waist size between 28 and 40, it's going to reward you. It's going to make you look more athletic.
And of course, you've done shoes as well. But with denim, I'm like a big jean jacket wearer. I love jean jackets. So is that something? Are there other avenues like hoodies or jean jackets, something that you want to explore?
I've explored them. I just haven't produced them.
Got it.
So I have a whole, oh my goodness, I got a lot of good stuff. I got uh jean jackets, I got um hoodies, I got tees, I got button downs, I got polos,
Mhm.
all types of stuff because there's like 157 different selvage fabrics that I have access to. And like I said, they all have completely different properties, So there's certain fabrics I wouldn't make jeans with them. I'm probably only gonna make a t-shirt. I might make a bucket hat with it. It's just because that's what the fabric is really built for. It's what it's good for. Um, but yeah, man, that's my that's my major hang up is like, yo, when are you gonna figure out how to market well enough to go ahead and sell out your stock, or when you gonna stop getting played by these malls and these big box stores and go ahead and figure out how to do it yourself online. That's the future, so that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah. When you say you're getting played by like, plays like a mall or something, what do you mean by that? Like I know you had a space in two separate malls here.
Yeah, I was in the promenade shops out in Saucon Valley first. That was my first spot. And I I picked that spot up in September of 2021. They gave me a deal that I couldn't refuse, man. I was getting 1,500 square feet for $1,500 for the first 3 months. The management team out there was this really nice lady, Melissa Napolitano, and I loved working with her. And I'm sad that she's not there anymore. But they picked up this new management crew, man, and I don't I don't speak ill of anybody, man, because I don't want anybody to speak ill of me. But I wasn't really respected out there. My product was not respected, and my person was not respected, and I really got unfairly pushed out.
Hmm.
And I won't repeat what was said, but I had to get out of there. So they I had to get out of there. There's a reason that there's so many stores missing over there. They don't manage the place very well. So um then I was holding out because I should have got with Simon Group initially. They had offered me a spot in the Lehigh Valley Mall, but I took the cheap deal. I didn't take the better deal. And Simon Group, they own a lot of malls around the country,
Hmm.
and these malls are, they got KOP in Philly, they got South Coast Plaza in Miami, they got uh, Lenox Mall in Atlanta, they got all the good malls. Um, so I should have got with them in the beginning, but it was my first time trying to start a store. I just did what I felt was comfortable,
Yeah.
and that was the wrong thing to do. But you should get with somebody that's experienced. And anyway, I found a spot over there, and they called me in February, and I think I took the spot over in March, and then I was there for March, April, June, and it was pretty good. It's not the most busiest mall. Um, it's not really premium product in the main
Mhm.
mall. I was
Yeah.
probably one of the most premium brands in the mall, if not the most. But either way, it was cool. My first store compared to my second store looked 10 times better. So I was getting better at my presentation and my salesmanship and all of that stuff. So overall, the experience was better. But again, um, there's a clause in the lease where it's like if you have a short term lease and a permanent tenant comes in and they like your spot, they can just take it.
Mhm.
Just take it. Don't matter where you're at in your lease. And so 3 months in, the management came to me and they're like, we're real sorry to tell you this, but a permanent tenant came in, they like your spot. We gotta your lease gotta be over with. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And you don't really get back what you put in. Um, but that was the message for me was like, yo, why are you not online yet? Like, why haven't you? If I would have started online in 2021, man, where would I be right now? But ain't no time like the present. So I got up out of there.
Mhm.
I put my stuff in storage and I was like, look, I got to figure out how to get it online. I heard a statistic that by 2040, something like 97% of commerce is going to take place online. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what they say. So I got to get with the trends. And I got with a business accelerator group that I read the books and learned and researched and figured out what it takes to be successful online and realized that, yo, that's a whole lot of work and experimentation. And it's about to be denim season. So why waste time trying to figure it out by myself when I could, pay somebody to hold my hand and show me how to do it. So, building a store online, it is in some ways it's harder, in some ways it's easier. It just that depends on building it is one thing, and then actually marketing and figured out paid advertising, affiliate marketing, and email marketing. Those three avenues is really how you get your thing to grow. And so, that's where I'm at right now. I love the thing that I built, the website, awselvedge.com. It's really cool. And, I just, I'm on to the next things, figuring out how to get traffic routed to the site so people can see what I got.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I'm sure that we'll be able to help you with that. And Clutch Points is a sports site first. I don't know if you've ever read them, but I did have a couple of quick hit questions to kind of end on with you. I see this question go around a lot, with NFL, former NFL players and current ones, and I'm curious what you think. Do you think the average person can run for a yard in the NFL? Because you've done it, you've run for many yards, but can the average person, if they, can they do that? Can they get a single yard?
The average person, man,
Yeah. Yep.
if you it depends how many chances they get. If you give them 4 downs, if you were watching the game last night with the Steelers and the Raiders, the first, I think it was like the first 3 drives were all 3 and out. So maybe if the drives you got 10 chances instead of 4, maybe that you get a yard. But is it average people on the other side of the ball, or is it real guys? Because they're really coming for you.
Yeah. But what if we gave them like your offensive line with your rookie year of the Giants? Like if they were behind like a real NFL offensive line, and it was just the average person, could they get a yard?
Got to give them a different line, bro.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. And my last question for you is, do you have, I know like you've told me some really interesting stories when you were in the NFL. I know like the Chargers one when you signed a contract and you had the issue with your wrist. I thought that was super interesting. Do you have any other like sort of fun memories from from your time playing in the NFL with some teammates or something that, most people just wouldn't know about you?
Oh man. Um, I always think about my first 100-yard game. How it was the first game that almost wasn't, and it was like we were playing the Titans,
Mhm.
and there's so many weird things that go back into it when I think about it. It was like, and I think about like, damn, what if I would have ended up with the Titans and I was like pre-Derrick Henry and they, man, it would have been crazy. But we played the Titans and it was, I think it had just rained the day before, and I'm used to wearing these Dyna Claws on my shoes. I don't know if you definitely saw my Dyna Claws, and I was like, yeah, I'm wearing my Dyna Claws. Went out there. Problem with the Dyna Claws is they're awesome on turf, even if it's wet, but if it's grass and it's wet, they get clogged up. So I had to wear my long cleats, and like automatically, it's like, damn, I don't have my Dyna Claws. I don't got my super suit is incomplete. But it ended up being my first 100-yard game, and it was crazy because we ran this. It was this toss sweep to the left side of the field, and I don't know if it was my gloves or wet or what, but Eli tossed the ball back and I grabbed it, but it kind of just flew up in the air. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I better not drop this ball. And I ended up catching it. And then the lane opened up and I just opened up and zoomed. It was like a 60-yard touchdown. And that opened things up for us. And we just was killing it after that. And that was my first 100-yard game. And then, I followed it up with another one with the Rams. And there was this guy, I forget what his name was, like something McLeod with the Rams.
Rodney McLeod? Was that his
Oh my goodness, I hit Rodney so hard, man.
I remember this actually. Yeah.
It was almost a touchdown. It was crazy because you know who caught me from behind on this play?
No, who's that?
Aaron Donald. How? How did he do that? I was way down the field. It wasn't a deep. He wasn't a fast guy. It was Aaron Donald. I mean, he is fast, but the guy is giant, and he's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember some cool things. I remember some things that I'm still kind of miffed about. Dropped opportunities, things like. But overall, the experience was great, and I don't know. I could talk about it forever and come up with all types of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, well, let me see. It might kick you out in a second. I'm trying to see if it's not going to. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, no, we're good. But I did have a follow-up question to that because you mentioned like the touchdown where you almost, you bobbled it and whatnot. What was the did you get a reaction from like Eli or the coaches when they saw that you almost bobbled it and catch it? Like, did they ever poke fun at you for that?
Oh man, I don't remember. It's like the thing is a win is a win
Yeah.
and a loss is a loss. But because we won,
Yeah.
there was poking, and it was my first 100-yard game. So all I got was claps on the back and everything. That game was all good. There was
Yeah.
some other games where it was like, oh man, Dre, but that game was good.
Yeah, and same with the Rodney McLeod one. Was that the similar? I think you guys won that game. So was it a similar thing, or did anybody react when you ran over the Rodney McLeod?
Yeah, I mean, it's always cool when you get to uh do that's like my thing. I don't know what it is. I'm not super heavy or super big, but I'm very dense.
Mhm.
And so if I get the right speed with the right depth,
Mhm.
oh man, there ain't no stopping me.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just that it wasn't the first time. So people got used to it. They're waiting for it. They want to see if I don't do it, then they're shocked. They're not shocked when it actually happens. My first start in the league was actually against the Eagles at their stadium,
Mhm.
and we ran this power play to the right,
Mhm.
and I broke into the secondary, and I forget who was it. Was Malcolm Jenkins. It's
Oh yeah.
Malcolm Jenkins that ended up eating a bad one. And so that was like the first time where it was like, oh man, Dre he really does this. It's not just it doesn't just happen in college. He really, really does this. So um, that was something that I really prided myself on. And that's what I work to do, is to just knock somebody on their back.
Yeah. And last question for you is, was Eli as funny as he is now? Because I think the weirdest thing as a Giants fan is now seeing him do like his ESPN telecast, and he's really funny, and you don't expect it. I know he's shown glimpses of it, with other ads and stuff, but was he as funny as he is now on TV as a teammate?
I think that Eli is really breaking into his role as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Um, Less, as time moves past his time in the league, he's definitely getting more comfortable. I would say that when I played with Eli, he was always definitely uh, very professional
Mm.
and very goofy in
Hmm.
country. You know,
Country.
yeah, I don't. It wasn't that he was intending to be funny because I feel like if he intended to be funny, he was kind of corny. But just in his general manner, he had a funny way about him because he was he was very professional but also goofy
Yeah.
and country. So um, yeah, I did love that guy. I called him Mr. Eli because I was like 20. I was 22
Yeah.
and this guy was like 33, 34 with like four daughters or something like that. So he was very grown.
Yeah.
Mr. Eli.
It's fun. Well, how old are you now? How-
Now I'm 31, man. I just turned 31 last month or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm myself.
happy belated birthday. We're almost at the same. It's almost the same things. I'm 22 now, so now it's you're quite a few years older than me. I always forget that. But yeah. But yeah, it's always great speaking with you, Andre. Let me stop recording really quick.